Hi, it's Nishi, and in today's video what I want to do is talk about how inflation is linked to pricing and why every business owner should really be very aware of what's happening with inflation so they can get their pricing right and remain profitable. So inflation is measured by the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, and it's really important because it's essentially a summary of how certain products that everyone uses have increased in price over a certain period of time and the rate that they are increasing in price by. And you may think, well, actually, you're in a very niched industry that doesn't necessarily impact you. Well, the reality is if you've got team members, then their cost of living is going up. If you've got suppliers who've got team members, their cost of living is going up and they're probably passing it on to you. Or if you're being super responsible, you should go back to that supplier and say, hang on a minute, do you need to adjust the pricing here because of this? Anyway, that's a whole different thing. But the point being, though, is you're going to have pressure in terms of your cost base just because of inflation. In real terms, if you pay a member of the staff the same right now as you did a year ago, then actually they're getting a pay cut because everything else for them has increased in value, so they're getting less for the same amount of work they do. But what that means is really you've got to understand how inflation has changed over time, because you probably don't reprice your products and services every day. So maybe some businesses do, like the stock exchange, but many businesses, they might have annual or quarterly or like 6-month price reviews. So really it's about the movement in price between 2 points. And really, like, a good example of this is like October 22 is when we last repriced, and we'll probably have to adjust our prices again. But between October 22, when inflation was at 11% and now it's at 4.5%, essentially you've got 20 months that have elapsed. And what's happened is the average rate of inflation over that period of time was 7.5%. But if you actually factor in that 7.5% growth in prices a year, but it's actually 20 months, so it's more like 12.5% when you actually factor in that and prorata it for a period longer than a year. Sorry, I know that sounds complicated, but actually when you're trying to work out if you do your price changes on the dot every year, then you don't have to worry about that prorating. But if it's been over a year since you last adjusted your prices, you need to factor in, you're not just going for the rate of inflation. You've actually got to factor in that actually it's the rate of inflation is for a longer period of time. But the key thing is, I've seen this all the time. Businesses that don't deal with inflation and reprice, they lose good quality members of staff because they can't afford to pay them. They end up really frustrated. The owners end up really frustrated because they don't make enough money to cover the work they're putting in. And quite often that translates into the level of service that they end up providing to their clients, which in reality is like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because in real terms they're charging less, and then because of all the other changes in their business, then they end up in a position where they deliver less because they lose good team members. They end up making lower profits. They lose their ability to invest in growth and innovation. So it's why it's so important to deal with pricing. If you want more advice on this and how it impacts your own business, then you should definitely get in touch, and I'll see you at the next video.